Hey everybody, welcome back to Boho Jewel. I am doing another scarf tutorial today, and I thought it would be kind of fun to actually go through the instructions with you guys. So I found this at the store the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I liked how the scarf looked, and I really like this yarn. It's a really soft yarn. It is Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth Sparkle. So I used the purple because I love purple. And so I thought it would be kind of a cool idea to actually go through the instructions with you guys. If you've been watching me at all, you know I always have my cheat sheet of instructions. So just taking the time to show you kind of my thought process of how I translate the written patterns into my own sort of easy language, because it's just easier for me to refer back to. And I usually write everything down first and then go through and do the actual pieces. So we're gonna be making this scarf today. Nice big long scarf. So I'm gonna flip you guys around. We'll get started. So here we have the pattern, and we will see if my scarf looks that fabulous when we're done with this. Hopefully it does, and hopefully yours does too. So here are the instructions for the pattern, and here are the abbreviations. So these are basic crochet abbreviations. So you see the BEG, beginning, BLO is back loop only, etc., etc. So I won't take your time and go through all of those, but if you guys maybe wanted to pause the video and get out a piece of paper and maybe write those down, but I will go through them as we go through the instructions. So right here, it gives you approximate measurements that it'll end up as if you use the yarn that they're suggesting and the hook that they're suggesting. So 8 inches by 68 inches. It says without tassels. I'm not going to put tassels on mine. Not really my thing. And then the gauge is 10 stitches in 6 rows, so 4-inch square. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really not sure what that means. So the materials, Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth, and that is what I'm going to be using today. This right here. It's got that sparkle in it, and I'm going to be doing the purple because I made the purple hat. So I'm going to use this one. Now, this is where I don't pay attention sometimes. So initially when I saw this, I saw 4 skeins. Okay, so this is a skein of yarn. 1 roll is a skein. And this calls for 100 gram skeins of 80 yards. Okay, so I actually went back to the store this afternoon knowing I was going to do this, and I bought 2 extra skeins of yarn. Because I thought I wasn't going to have enough, and I thought, well, if I have to have 4 skeins, that seems extreme because it seems like it's going to be the biggest scarf in the world. And then when I looked at it, this is actually 161 yards on this, right? So you can see it right here too. It's a 3.5 ounce skein, 100 grams, 161 yards, and then 147 meters. So I'm just going to make 2 scarves. Why not? So I'm going to do the purple one today, and then I'm going to do one with these combinations of colors because I like them. So I actually only need 2 skeins of yarn. So, and then the needle size is an US size N, which is a 9 millimeter, which is this one right here that I'm going to be using. So a larger crochet hook and a yarn needle to finish your things up. So when you see the instructions, you'll see the first thing, chain 163. And this right here translates into beginning chain. It does not count as a stitch. And if you've ever watched any of my videos before, you know that I like to write my own little cheat sheets, my own little notes. So I have a little note paper right here and my pen, a brand new pen. It's still got the little ball on the end. Oh, let me pop that off of there. And so I'm going to write this into my own sort of translation, just because for me it's easier visually to see it in my shorthand than it is to go back and forth on the instructions. I'm not sure why. It's how my brain works. So I'm just going to put chain 163. Okay, so I just put my CH and 163. And I think what happens for me is some of the additional instructions right here throw me off, and I don't know why they even put them in there. It is what it is. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then as I go, I'm going to keep writing my notes. So we're going to get our slip knot on our hook, leave a little bit of a tail to work in at the end. So let me move this so it's easier to see, so it's not so distracting. So right here, we're going to put our yarn over our finger, loop it around, loop that toward the back, pull the front up, hook that hook through there, grab this, and just pull it. So when you see the instructions and it says the beginning chain does not count as a stitch, that is this. That is this. And I think that's what throws me off about the instructions sometimes. So if you guys find that confusing, then that's part of what it is. So now we're just going to chain to 163. So when you do a chain, you just yarn over, pull through, and that right here is your chain one. And that's what they're talking about. This little loop that's right here, left right here, is not your first chain. Okay, so this is your chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's one more little tip. So I'm getting used to working with this big hook. I'm not used to working with that. So for me, when I'm chaining this many, my brain likes to forget things. So I'm just going to give myself a little tally mark every time I do 10. So I'm just going to put a tally mark here. That went right through the paper. And then I'm going to do my next 10. Okay, so then I'm just going to count 1, 2, getting used to this yarn, 3, 4, and the hook, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to give myself another tally mark. So for me, that's just kind of a tip that I would like to put out there for other creatives whose brains don't enjoy numbers. Because for me, it would be really easy to go back and, like, even if I just have to do what I just did and move my thread, I would be like, wait, did I just do 20 or did I do 20? And I would have to go through and count. And that's a lot when you start doing 163. So for me, it's just easier to keep track of it this way. And I can say, okay, 10, 20 and moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and create this great big long chain and I'll meet you guys back. Here we have this nice big fluffy ball of 163 chain stitches, and so you see where I did my little tallies. Just each one is 10, so then that's 50, 100, 150, and then I needed 13 more. So for me personally, the way my brain works, that just helps me out. So it might help somebody else too. So now for row 1, right here you'll see it says 1 double crochet in second chain from hook and each chain across, turn. So what that translates into is we're going to double crochet all the way across. So I'm just going to put on my little notes right here. So row 1, I know I have the absolute worst handwriting, double crochet all the way across. Okay, that's what I translate that into, and I'm going to explain to you why they're so detailed in this, because reading the directions, it can be so confusing. So when they say double crochet in the second chain from the hook, like it's basically the next chain. Okay, so you have your, where you're right here on the hook, okay, and then you kind of have, if you can see, this little loop that sort of happens right there. Don't consider that a chain, but it kind of, to me, that seems obvious because that's where your yarn is going through. So you really would have to try really hard to get a stitch in there anyway. So this is one of those times where you just can't overthink it. So we're just going to double crochet into our first stitch. I'm all noodled up now. That's better. I wanted to clear my space for you guys a bit. So double crochet, so the very next, so right here is our first stitch. Okay, and a double crochet, you yarn over, go through the front of that stitch, yarn over again, lift it up. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull it through 2, yarn over and pull it through the next 2. And that is your double crochet. Am I getting through that big fluffy loop? So this is the yarn, if you watched my last video, my beanie video, this is the yarn that I didn't want to use for a demo because I felt like it was too poofy to show really clearly. So I hope this is showing up well. I'm going to get a little closer to the camera. And for me, it's actually, I haven't used the 9mm hook. I bought it a while ago, a really long time ago, and then I don't even know why I bought it, but this is my first project with it. So it's interesting to me to see how the different hooks, when you get so used to the smaller hooks. So then we're going in our next loop, our next chain right here. So again, yarn over, through that loop, double yarn over again, lift up, yarn over, pull through those first 2, and then yarn over and pull through the next two. Now you could use a smaller weight yarn for this, more time, with a smaller hook, but I have a feeling this project is going to go rather quickly using such a large hook. It's going to, you know, it doesn't have a ton of rows because this is going to take up a lot of space each stitch. So let me see, let me do one more. Yarn over, just kind of hold that, twist that back around if it's starting to get away from you, through the first two and through the next two. Okay, so you can see that's like already a nice fluffy bit. So that is all that means. So we're going to do double crochets all the way down our chain. So in each chain we're going to go in and do a double crochet until you reach the end, and I'm going to do that and I'm going to meet you guys back. Almost completely done with that first row of double crochets. So here we are at our last stitch right here, and I wanted to just point something out because if you've watched my other videos, this is, I've mentioned this before. So here it says double crochet all the way across, and then you turn, and then on the next row you chain one. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to double crochet, go through that last stitch just like that, and then we're going to turn our work. So we just finished right here. Just realized I was super close to the camera. And then we're going to turn the whole thing around and chain one. So the reason that I point that out, I've mentioned it before, the way the women in my family have always taught me is at the end of your row, you chain and then you turn. So it's just one of those things. Either way works, but I just wanted to mention that. So if you're one of those people who chains and then turns, I'm with you. I got you. Okay. So now, for row 2, we did our chain 1, and now we're going to, what this translates into is 1 single crochet and back loop of first stitch and each stitch across. So basically what I'm going to write down is we're going to row 2. Let me get that more in the screen, see what I'm doing. Row 2, we are going to single crochet and back loop only all the way across. So for me, it just takes some of the wording out, and so when I go back to do a pattern, it just simplifies it in my brain for me. So what's that look like? So here we are. So now that we've got our double crochets, when you look in the top of your double crochet right here, okay, this is the front of our piece. When we look in the top of our double crochet, you see where we have that split of the chain. So this is the front, and we're just going to do a single crochet in the back. So what we're doing is we're going down the center, right down the middle of that to the back loop. We're going to yarn over, pull that through, yarn over, and pull it through both of those, and that's your single crochet. So again, you go right through the top, through that back loop, yarn over, pull it forward, and yarn over and pull it through there. So one more time. Let me do it from the front so you can see how that is the back. Oh, if I can get through this yarn. So right here, so there's our front loop, and we're working through the back loop. So we yarn over again, and pull it through too. So we're just going through that back loop, single crochets all the way down our piece. Starting to get the hang of this 9 hook and this fluffy yarn. And you'll notice as you're doing this too, I noticed especially with this softer yarn, doing that first row, everything felt really wobbly and I felt like I was just moving really slow, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of meditative. But this, now I feel like I have something to kind of grip onto a little bit with the yarn, and it feels a little sturdier somehow, but I'm really excited. This is a really, really nice soft yarn, and if I can find some links for it, I will post them below so you guys can find it and order it if you need to order it, or just go check out some craft stores. I'm sure they have it too, but I will write the yarn in the colors in the description. So I'm going to go single crochet, back loop only, all the way down. And then I will meet you guys back for row number 3. Right, so here we are right at the end of row 2, and I'm going to put that last stitch right there in the back loop, that last single crochet, and I'm going to follow the directions. I'm going to turn my work, and now it says on row 3, I'll show you the directions. Row 3 is chain 2, a little glare there, and then 1/2 double crochet in back loop only of first stitch, and each stitch across and turn. So basically we're going to chain 2, so 1, 2, and now we're going to 1/2 double crochet all the way across in the back loops, just like we did with our single crochet. So same thing, we're going to just only work in the back loops, okay? And so we're going to yarn over, we're going to go through the back loop of that stitch. Let me get you guys centered. And then we're going to yarn over again. And this time we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches. Oh, there we go. And that's our 1/2 double crochet. So again, in the next stitch, yarn over, right through the middle toward the back, yarn over again, and then yarn over and through all 3 loops. So that is our 1/2 double crochet. So we're just going to keep doing that. Let me see if I show you from the front. So yarn over through the next back loop, yarn over, and through all 3. So, and that is going to be what we do all the way down the row, our 163 stitches. And then after I finish that for you guys, I'm going to come back. So let's take a look ahead at what the rest of the pattern is real quick, just so you get an idea where we're heading. So basically, and this is another reason I like to write things down. So I'm going to take a moment and write down my row 3. And then row 4, we're basically repeating row 3. And then we're repeating row 2. And then 3. So this is where these are the kind of things that just make me confused. So basically what the pattern is from here on out is after we do our 1/2 double crochet, okay, we're going to do another 1/2 double crochet all the way across, and then we're going to do the single crochet. All right, and then we're going to do 2 rows of the 1/2 double crochet. So for me, I'm going to write that down a little differently, and that is just kind of an example of why I have my little notes over here. So I'm going to finish this row of the back loop 1/2 double crochet, and I will meet you guys back and we will keep going. If you are working on this and pausing as we go through, welcome back. I am back too. So here we finished row 3. Now I'm going to show you guys, this is why I do my notes. Okay, this is why I wanted to do this video. So here are the notes, right? And this is what I pointed out before I left the last time. This is where it just starts to get blurry in my brain, where it starts talking about repeat row 3, repeat row 2, da da da. Anyway, so I actually had to go back and I forgot to add my chain 1s in as I was talking, because doing this and talking and figuring it out at the same time, I just missed it. So I actually rewrote my notes a little bit, adding my chains in there, and then also kind of breaking down the next little bit ahead of time because it just confused me. So we've done row 3. We did our chain 2, 1/2 double crochet back loop only. So now we're doing the same thing on row 4. So what we're going to do, I'm going to finish my last 1/2 double crochet in that last loop. And I'm going to turn my work because that's what they say to do. Boom, I'm going to turn my work. See, it throws me off. It messes me up. Give me a second, guys. Okay, it gets me all noodled up. Let's see, where are we? Isn't it funny how you get used to doing something and then when you try to do it a different way, it just confuses you. I feel like my yarn is all on. Okay, I can't do it. So I'm going to actually chain my 2 here because I feel like my yarn is on the wrong side. Okay, there we go. Chain my 2 and then turn my work. That might seem like a little thing and insignificant, but especially as much as we're working with here with all this length, it just, I don't know, it messed me up. The creative mind. So now we're just going to do the same thing we did before. Okay, we're going to find our back loop. So, and with this yarn, it does like to sort of twist and turn because it's so soft. So you definitely want to figure out where your loops are. So you're looking from the top, finding your stitch, and we're going to keep working through that back loop. So again, on row 4, we're just going to do our half double crochets through our back loops all the way across. And then basically now, after we do that, it's just going to be a repeating pattern. Let me do one more half double crochet in that back loop, and we're going to do that all the way across. So then once we get to the very end of this row, okay, you can kind of see that pattern happening. So that's row 3 and 4. And then when we get to row 5, we're just doing our single double crochet, or single crochet, sorry. So we're doing our single crochet row 5, single crochet, back loop only, and then the next 2 is our half double crochet, back loop only. And then the next 1 is a single crochet, back loop only, and then the next 2 half double crochet, back loop only. So basically it's just repeating what we did here. So we had our initial row, which was just double crochet all the way across, and then the next row was a single crochet, back loop only, and then half double crochet, single crochet, half single. So we're doing that until row 10. And then when we get to the very last row, on row 12, or doing that till row 11 rather, and then row 11, single crochet, back loop only, and then row 12, we're double crocheting all the way across. So I am going to go through, I'm going to get all the way to row 11, and then meet you back for row 12, or double crochet all the way across, and then we'll finish it off. So I came back a little sooner. As I was sitting here working on this row, I decided I wanted to mention this before I forget that I'm going to mention this. I'm going to put the directions, both patterns, in the description below this time. I don't usually put the patterns in the description because if you're like me, it's easier to watch somebody do this than to read the patterns. And I feel like if people are on YouTube, that's the case for you guys as well, that it's just easier for you to watch somebody do the pattern and follow along and take your own notes on it. But I just, like I said, I wanted this to kind of be helpful in, you know, if you are trying to learn how to decipher patterns, and just to kind of share my process as well between what's on the patterns that you get and how I keep my notes, because it's just easier for me to reference back later to look at this than to go through this and decipher. And when I try to follow just the notes on here, I tend to mess up a lot. So I would love it if you guys would let me know in the comments if that is the same case for you, if this is helping, and if you would like to see me do more videos where I'm sharing the patterns, where I'm kind of deciphering and going through the patterns. I would just be curious to know, like, how many people out there have the same issues I do with it, and if that is indeed why you watch the videos, if it's because it's easier for you to just see someone go through it, or if you're watching the videos for ideas and then writing notes down, or what the process is for you guys. I would genuinely love to know, and I would feel so much better if I knew I was not the only one out there who whose brain got sort of kerfuddled at all of this every time. So you guys let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these rows. I will meet you back at row 12, and we will do our double crochet across, and then we will finish it up at the end of the row with our last double crochet stitch going into our last stitch right here, just like that. And now we're not going to chain anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, pull that through a little ways, give it a bit of a tail, cut that off, and just keep pulling that all the way through to create a little bit of a knot right there. Oh, that got really blurry. So now we're going to get a needle, push our yarn through it, and if it works on the first try, I'll be really excited. So one thing that I noticed with my hat, see, this wants to fuzz off a little bit. So if you don't get it on the first try, it becomes kind of a pain. There we go. Yay. So this needle you can see the eye is pretty wide on it. It's just a plastic needle, just it's dull on the ends. So that's kind of what you want to use for this, so that the sharp points don't get stuck anywhere on this, especially on this soft yarn. Let me move some of these other things out of the way so the photo doesn't get blurry again with the video. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to work this back through. So I always like to go in the direction that the knot is going, kind of, but this is sticking straight up. So we're just going to go straight back down through some of this, and I'm just going to weave it through gently. Kind of try to hide it a little bit, but just kind of weave it through some of those places because it is so fluid. I don't want it to pop out during a wash or come loose or anything like that. So just really gently kind of back and forth zigzagging it through the fabric. When you're dealing with like a cotton or something a little sturdier, I feel like it disappears more easily. So I'm just going to do that and kind of work it through. And I think I am going to do a little bit of a knot. Let's see. Especially with the scarf, so loop it up and loop it right back through that loop. You know, because with a scarf, you're going to be wearing it and kind of feel like handling it more than you would with a cap, a beanie, just to make sure that that disappears in there. And we do the same thing on the other side. So I am going to flip the camera around and show you guys the final product once again and finish things up. So see you in a second. So here is the complete scarf. I know I gave you a little sneak preview, but here it is. What I love about this is that it is really nice and long, and so it gives you some different options. So you can just wear it like this and flip it around. And if you're like me and you're a little on the fluffier side, you'll appreciate the length of it, because sometimes I feel like scarves come too short, and this kind of lengthens, right, ladies? So yeah, so I like that. So you can kind of flip it around this way. The other thing you can do that I realized, it's a nice length, and because this yarn is so flexible, it's almost like, you know, a cloth. So you can fold it in half. I got it in half. Gosh, it's so big. Right? And actually loop it around this way, and you have your open loop here, and you can pull it through the loop and really bundle up, which I like, because when it gets really, really cold outside, it's kind of nice, and it's not too kind of heavy that it feels claustrophobic to me. So that is the sparkle scarf. You guys, please do let me know if you enjoyed going through the instructions, the pattern, and if you'd like to see me do more of those videos. And I am going to go ahead and make another scarf with, oops, that was the crochet hook, with these two. And this is about how much was left over from that second skein of yarn, because it did call for 2 skeins. So I'm wondering if I might even put all 3 of these colors together. So I'm going to do that video too, so you guys stay tuned. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Okay, subscribe, hit a like, give me a thumbs up, give me some comments, help the video spread around YouTube and all that jazz. And I will see you guys soon. Everybody have a great week.